Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. Today is October 16th, 2024. It's a Wednesday, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
What's going on out there, everybody? This is Ben Dickerson. I am your co-host, and I don't have any Who Would Have Thunk It's today.
You don't have any Who Would Have Thunk It's?
Nah, I couldn't find any really good ones, any ones that I thought were really good. But that gives us an opportunity, well, it gives you especially an opportunity to brag on your winning percentage for week 6.
How do you know about that?
I read the Ben and Barry football page. Come on, man. I was so proud of myself. I got 12 right and 2 wrong. I was like, bro, I broke average slump big time.
Big time.
And
Well,
the Bias Plus was right on every single one.
We missed 3.
Oh, you missed 3.
We missed 3.
Oh, I thought you got them all.
No, we have we called for the Titans over the Colts.
Okay.
For the Saints. And and the Bias Plus favored the Commanders. This is what I posted about that game.
The funny thing is I got all 3 of those right.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. I got 2 other ones wrong.
What I posted about that was the Washington Commanders had the bias. The Ravens had Derrick Henry.
One way of putting it.
That's one way of putting it, I'm telling you. But let's take a quick look at the net point power rankings, Benny, because that's kind of where it all starts at. Sterling net point power rankings, NFL Week 6 and the Bias Plus report for NFL Week 7. So, Ben, here are the top 16. And I want to go to the bottom again because I want to make mention about a couple teams here that I pop out at me when I'm looking at these teams, right?
Okay.
So on the bottom half, I want to mention in the scoring column, average points for 20th is Pittsburgh, 25th is Denver, 26th is the Chargers, and 29th are the New York Giants. Now, why did I pick that group of teams? Well, when you go back to the top, the Chargers are in first place on defense, but they are 26th on offense. Pittsburgh is second place on defense, but they're 20th on offense. Washington, second in scoring, 22nd on defense. Big divergences between some of these teams. Your Giants, 9th on defense, Benny, tied with Green Bay. 29th on offense. I want to mention Dallas and Philadelphia are like two levels as they occupy the 29th and the 30th ranked average turnover differential place together. They're right there together, 29th and 30th. Dallas is -1, Philly is -1.2. So it's just some of these teams have some big divergence between their offenses and their defenses. And that's not good. When we let's go back up to the top. When we go to the top 10 here, actually, I like the top 8. You can go 10 if you want. But as you always say, these teams generally are there in that area on all 4 categories. Minnesota, congratulations for first place in average net points. Detroit, congratulations for first place, actually tied with Washington, Tampa Bay, Baltimore. They're all about 30 points per game.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And probably just some uh decimal point differences in those. As a matter of fact, as I look at it on the spreadsheet, Washington and Tampa Bay are actually tied at 29.7, Detroit's 30.2, Baltimore is 29.5. So that's your top five there. New Orleans and Minnesota tied 27.8, Buffalo 27.5. So that's your scoring there in your top eight. The Niners are coming in at eighth, tied with Green Bay at 27 points per game. So that's what they're scoring on average. Um, Defensive wise, Chargers, number one. Pittsburgh, number two. Now, again, decimal points away. Chargers 13.2, Pittsburgh 14.3, Minnesota 15.2 in third place. Denver 16 points per game allowed in fourth place. Fifth place, Chicago 16.8. That's really holding up our boy there, the quarterback in Chicago. Kansas City 17 points per game. The Jets, Jets, average allowing 18 points per game. And that eighth place, yes, Detroit, 18.2 points per game. So those are your top eight. You can see the rest of them. And I always tell people you can go to sterlingnppr.com and see the full list of all the rankings. Green Bay is in the number one spot in average turnover differential, followed by the Chargers, Buffalo, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. So again, some defensive stalwarts here. If they could get their offense clicking, they'd be all right. I got to give Chicago a special holler out for coming in number 3 in average net points, man. At plus 7.8. So that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. So I'm going to leave this up to you. Any further comments on the net point rankings?
What I will say, what I'm beginning to notice, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised at this, is most of the top, let me see, 2, 4, 6, top 6, 8, 10, yeah, top 10 teams in average turnovers or average turnover differential are some of the better points against teams or the better defensive teams, which means they're taking the ball away quite a bit and their offense is being very careful with the ball. So that makes a lot of sense. Minnesota sitting at the top, they definitely belong there. No doubt about it. Detroit belongs there. And I was expecting Detroit coming into the season with the improvements they made on their defense to go along with their already dynamic offense. I'm not surprised to see them there at all. Chicago, I'm a little bit surprised. But let's remember, from draft day, we've been saying we've never seen a rookie quarterback, let alone a first round pick overall, get set up with an offense as strong as Caleb Williams has been set up with. So we shouldn't be that surprised that he's thriving and doing well. Maybe we should be surprised that he's doing as well as he is. But I mean, let's face it, this was the whole plan, and the plan's coming to fruition now. Green Bay, obviously, with Jordan Love, what was expected of him after his strong late season last year and how he came into the season this year, not very surprising. And of course, you got Kansas City, which nobody ever doubts. And Buffalo with a big move, big roster move. Now all of a sudden just went from good to better. So yeah, very interesting. But things are starting to take shape now. The contenders are starting to rise and the pretenders are starting to fall.
Yeah, the averages are kicking in.
In fact, where's New Orleans? New Orleans then dropped to 13. Remember they went first.
Well, they had the skew.
Skews over.
They had those two big games in the first 2 games of the season. They were waxing people, and then all of a sudden they came back to earth. And now their average is starting to look more. The skew is about gone, I guess is what we can say. They're about skewless at this particular.
Well, like we always say, you are what your record says you are.
Yeah. Especially your points record, you know. Um, so yeah, I wanted to just give a shout out on some of the teams. And oh, Ben, remember my saying: if you don't have two quarterbacks, you have none. I'm looking at Miami here, last place in offense, scoring 12 points a game. I'm thinking Tua probably has one of the best cases for most valuable player of any of them because his team went completely in the tank when he got hurt.
That's
Complete.
true.
So crazy as it might seem, but yeah, that's what happened. They're 17th on defense, allowing 23 points per game. They can't score more than 12 though, you know. So that's a crazy thing. All right. So that wraps up the Sterling Net Point Power rankings. Again, you can go to sterlingnppr.com to review these rankings and find out where your team stands. Okay, Benny, so let's start to look at the Bias Plus reports. First game we have is the Thursday night football game. Broncos at Saints. Bias Plus score 3.4 favors the Saints. And I think we can see that with the Broncos, again, top-notch defense, lacking on offense. Saints scored a bunch of points early, came back to earth, but they have the bias still in their favor. What you got on this?
Well, they have the bias still in their favor. They haven't had much luck stopping the other team from scoring. And now I'm not sure if Derek Carr is going to be ready to come back, so we might get another week of Spencer Rattler, which actually wasn't that bad to tell you the truth, but still,
This
he's a rookie,
thing,
so
so
this
true.
this is first outing here in the NFL. So, but let's talk about the Broncos first. They'll be visiting. The Broncos are 3-3. They were riding a 3-game win streak, and they were looking really relevant in the AFC West. So we haven't talked about the Broncos being relevant in that division in quite a while. But for whatever reason, against the Chargers, they looked lost offensively, and defensively, they had no answer for the Chargers. Very balanced and very time-consuming drives. Over the first 3 quarters of the game, they turned the ball over twice. They punted it 5 times, and they finally found the end zone with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Bo Nix was able to put TDs on the board before the end of regulation, um, but that was it, and they lost to the Chargers. Not a full game, spurts up and down, real shaky looking offense. Just the thing that Sean Payton's been trying to get away from. The Saints, on the other hand, we've seen some. Oh, yeah. When we talk about the Saints, we got to talk about the NFC South. The NFC South is a very interesting division. A lot going on there. I think I spoke on it as being a very tightly contested division last week, minus the Panthers. But the Panthers put up a little fight last week. But anyway, the Saints have been in a couple of really tremendous division battles already this season. But after they looked unbeatable the first 2 games of the season, unbeatable, put up points, shut the other team down. After that, they lost 3 games in a row. And then they had to host division rival Tampa Bay. And they were without quarterback Derek Carr. They decided to go with 5th-round rookie Spencer Rattler, not first-round rookie quarterback, 5th-round rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler. If anybody doesn't know Spencer Rattler, he played for South Carolina last year. They fell behind 17-0, but had an awesome second quarter. This is all happened in the second quarter. They intercepted Baker Mayfield twice. The kicker, Blake Grupe, kicked 2 field goals. Rashid Shaheed scored on a 54-yard punt return. And Spencer Rattler threw a touchdown pass to Alvin Kamara. No, he threw a touchdown pass to, I don't know who he threw it to. But anyway, Alvin Kamara scored on the ground. So all that happened in the second quarter. Unfortunately, second quarter ended. They went to halftime. And when they came back from halftime, they punted 4 times, and Rattler threw 2 interceptions. After that, they never scored again, and they got blown out 51-27. So that's the state of New Orleans right now. I'm going to go with the Broncos to go in there. It's a homecoming for Sean Payton. I'm sure he'll hear some boos and what have you, but I believe the Broncos will win this game. Saints are in trouble.
Going against the bias, going with the Broncos here. All right, Benny, I got you. Okay, Benny, so next up, Sunday morning football. We have Patriots at Jaguars. They're over in England, so nobody's actually in their own stadium. The bias plus of 2.8, however, favors the Patriots. And we know the Jaguars, when they're over in England, it's like their home. They're second home away from home, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been over there at least once a year ever since they started doing this. This time they played two games over there back to back, so they didn't even come home. I think they stayed the whole time.
Wow.
All they had to do was switch stadiums. But you know why they put them over there all the time, right?
Probably easy to get from Florida to there. Just hop a plane, jump over the ocean.
I think it's because their attendance is very low.
Well,
They probably have the lowest attendance of all the teams in the league.
really?
That's I would say if you look that up, I would venture to guess they are one of the lowest, if not the lowest.
Okay.
So them playing overseas is no big deal to their fans. Remember how the Eagles fans was all freaked out about going to South America?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the Jags had to travel to Chicago. First of all, both these teams are 1-5. But I will say this: the Patriots are going to start a rookie quarterback. The Jaguars are going to start Trevor Lawrence, who's supposed to be doing much better than this. I would say this is a must-win for the Jags. They travel to Chicago.
Thanks, eh?
Yeah, I would say so. Um, they couldn't put anything together close to the offensive output that they had in their only win, which was back in week 5 against Indianapolis. They looked pretty good that day, but since then and last week, they didn't look good at all offensively. They can't find the end zone. They can't move the ball. They have lots and lots of problems, and that just heaps more problems onto a defense that isn't really that good either. So they couldn't put up more than a field goal in the first half. And even though Trevor Lawrence threw 2 touchdown passes to Gabe Davis in the second half, the Jags defense gave up 4 touchdown passes and 1 touchdown on the ground to the Bears, as well as 152 rushing yards to the Bears. Holy mackerel. And they ended up losing that game 35-16. Now, the Patriots decided to go with Drake May. And I'm going to say right now, when this was announced last week, I said I thought it was a mistake. I understand why they're doing it, but I thought it was a mistake to start him in this particular game on the road against Houston. I thought they should look for a softer matchup or a home start for him if you decided, hey, let's see what we got in the rookie boy. What do we got to lose beside him getting his head ripped off? If that's the decision you make, fine, so be it. But I just thought it should have been a better place. But he made his debut on the road in Houston, and I was against it. But I got to say, he handled himself pretty well against a pretty formidable opponent, too. Not only did he survive, but I thought he handled himself really well, to tell you the truth. He completed 3 touchdown passes. Problem is, he's a rookie, and he played a tough defense. So he also threw 3 interceptions. And he lost a fumble, which was to be expected because we expected him to get sacked, which is what was happening to Jacoby Brissett. Even though he can move a little bit better, he did get sacked. He did give up a fumble. Not surprisingly for a rookie for his first start. But he gets to start again against the Jags. It's in England. And I'll tell you the truth, my mind was kind of set on the Jags on this one, but I think I'm going to go with the Patriots in this game. I'm going to give Drake May some props for proving me wrong and surviving Houston last week, and I'm going to pick the Patriots to win.
All right. So that was the Patriots at Jaguars. Ben's going with the Patriots, going with the bias. Next up, we have the Bengals at the Browns. Bias plus 9.3 favors the Bengals, Benny.
9.3.
Yeah.
That's what I was expect against a Browns team that's looking the way that it is, and a Bengals team that was looking the way we expected them to look. That might not be the case, but 9-point bias it is. Bengals are 2-4. Browns are 1-5. I'm not even going to say it's a must win for the Browns because
they're beyond must wins at this
they
point.
got a lot of musts right now, if that's a word. Anyway, they lost to the Eagles last week, 20-16. Once again, Deshaun Watson looked pretty horrible. They scored no offensive touchdowns. And again, they weren't able to top 20 points. In fact, their only touchdown came on a blocked field goal. Yeah, their only touchdown came on a blocked field goal attempt by Myles Garrett that got scooped up by ex-Eagle Rodney McLeod, who returned McLeod, I'm sorry, who returned. I'm sorry. Let me say it again. I didn't mean to crap on his name like that. They scored no offensive touchdowns and again weren't able to top 20 points. In fact, their only touchdown came on a blocked field goal attempt, blocked by Myles Garrett, and then scooped up by ex-Eagle Rodney McLeod, who returned it 50 yards for a touchdown. That was their only touchdown of the game. As far as the Bengals are concerned, after going blow for blow and putting up 38 points in a losing effort against the Ravens in week 5, the Bengals struggled to get their offense going against the Giants of all teams. After a first quarter 47-yard run by Joe Burrow, and let me make sure everybody understands, he didn't call that play for him to run. But his pre-snap read told him that they were playing man-to-man, and he knew he had everybody over on one side. So if he could cut inside of that defensive end, he had smooth sailing. I don't think he thought he was going to score a touchdown, but doggone it, he sure enough did. And good run by him. Good job. 47 yards, Joe Burrow, first touchdown. No more points were scored by the Bengals until a field goal late in the third quarter. And then Chase Brown had a rushing touchdown with 1:52 left to make the final score 17-7. In the meantime, the Bengals D did the rest to keep New York out of the end zone, and they ended up beating my Giants. So there's no way I will probably ever pick the Browns to win a game. Just putting that out there. I'll take the Bengals.
Going with the bias, going with the Bengals. All right, Benny. Next up, this is a potential intriguing game. Lions at Vikings.
Gotta be.
Bias plus of 1 favors the Lions. And let me tell you.
Nice.
The more I looked at this game, now there's other games that are on here, so I'm not saying this is the definitive one at this particular point. But you have the number 1 offense against the number 3 defense, and the number, 6 offense for the Vikings against the number 8 defense for the Lions. But
much improved Lions defense.
Yeah, but the bottom line in terms of net points, the Vikings are first and the Lions are second. So,
okay. Doesn't get much better than that.
You know what I'm saying?
So arguably the best team in the NFC went to Texas Stadium and kicked the crap out of the Dallas Cowboys. That would be the Detroit Lions with head coach Dan Campbell and OC Ben Johnson. They decided, and I believe, what player was it? There was a player that got interviewed. I think it was Jared Goff. And I forget how he put it. He said something about giving them the full clip. They opened up the playbook on them boys. They threw like 3 or 4 touchdown passes or attempted 3 or 4 touchdown passes to offensive linemen. They gave them everything they had, man. It was a horrible beatdown. It was really ugly. I almost felt bad for the Cowboys, but Who feels bad for the Cowboys? Anyway,
Hey man, it was Jerry Jones' birthday. You could give him a little bit of something, something.
yeah, right. 47-9. Beatdown of monumental proportions, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks, 11 quarterback hits. We're talking total domination here. The only negative was their star pass rusher, Aiden Hutchinson, broke his fibula. Now, one report I heard, they said it was broken. One report said fractured. There is a difference. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but I'm pretty sure he'll be done for the season unless they go all the way to the Super Bowl. And then he maybe he may have a chance late in the postseason to show back up. We'll have to see. Undefeated Minnesota. They're coming off the bye. Last time we saw them, they were imposing their will on the Jets. It made it really ugly too. So they're the home team. The Lions are red hot. 4-1 against 5-0. Same division. Woo. I can't turn my back on B-Flow right now. He's coming off the bye. Bro, he's coming off the bye too. He's coming off the bye. Oh, he got something for them Lions. I'm taking Minnesota.
Going against the bias.
I am taking the
Take
Vikings.
Minnesota, going with Sam Darnold. Ben, that beatdown of the Cowboys by the Lions is the first time an NFL game ended in a score of 47-9.
That exact score?
That exact score.
That's prophetic.
Yeah, I'm telling you. All right, you're going against the bias, going with the Vikings. I see you. Okay. How about Texans at Packers, Benny? The bias plus of 11.5 favors the Packers. And I think what's going on here to some degree is the Texans have a reverse skew because they had that one bad game against Minnesota.
Yeah, but it was really bad.
That's what skewed it to the negative. That's why they're so far down in the rankings and everything and not looking good. But if you're going to look bad, the Packers is probably the one team that could make you look bad. Number one in turnover differential, and Love is humming, man. People are talking about Love is looking like a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah. This is going to be a tough one. This could possibly be an intriguing game candidate. Texans are 5-1. Packers are 4-2. They'll be at home. Let's talk about the Packers. First of all, Jaden Reed. This is for friends of the show, Chris Mitchell and Blade Brown specifically. From me to you. Jaden Reed and Christian Watson don't get mentioned enough when people talk about the top wide receiver duos in the league today. What's really crazy is there's 2 more receivers on this team that could possibly be starters on a few other teams in the NFL. That's how good this receiver core is. All right, that's enough of that. Anyway, one of those 2 is Romeo Doubs. And fresh off of a team-imposed suspension for conduct detrimental, he caught 2 Jordan Love touchdown passes. Love threw 3 touchdown passes in the first half and 4 total, and the Pack never looked back. It was no big deal in that game. Now, the Texans put together a strong and complete game against New England, as I suspected they would. Defensively, they sacked the Patriots quarterback, rookie quarterback, Drake May, 4 times. They hit him 8 times. That was pretty much expected too because their offensive line didn't change at all. So kind of figured he'd get the same treatment that Jacoby Brissett was getting. Offensively, they were balanced. CJ completed 20 of 32 passes for 192, 3 touchdowns, did have 1 interception, and they ran the ball 28 times for a total of 192, led by, just back from injury, Joe Mixon, 13 big carries for 102 big yards and a touchdown. Joe Mixon looked fresh. His legs looked fresh. He was hauling the ball. So Good job by him. Good job by the Texans. This is going to be a tough game. They're going into Lambeau Field, but I'm going to go with the Packers. I love what they're doing right now. Their defense is no joke either. And I believe they got enough firepower to make this. This is going to be an intriguing game, too. This has to be a candidate. I know you don't have to decide, but I
Well,
really like this
this
one.
is a candidate. It's on the candidate list.
Yeah, CJ's going to do some damage, but I believe the Packers defense will hold up. If either defense falters against either of these brilliant young quarterbacks, I think it'll be the Texans defense that falters, and I think the Packers will come out on the winning side of this one.
All right, going with the bias, going with the Packers. There you go. All right. Dolphins at Colts. Bias plus of 13 favors the Colts. We just talked about the Dolphins in the last place in scoring, 32nd place. So even even the Colts have an option or have an advantage on that.
All right, so we got Dolphins at Colts, and who's got the bias? I'm sorry. The Colts have the bias. So, first of all, let me just get the Dolphins out of the way. They're coming off the bye. The last time we saw them, they were actually pulling out a victory over the Patriots, 16-10, kind of close, but they did get the win. The Colts last week played the Titans division game. They came out on top, 20-17. Joe Flacco is over there working miracles. But Anthony Richardson looks like he's healthy and should probably be coming back. So Joe Flacco is going to retreat back to the bench. Hate to see it happen because he was doing so well. Hopefully, Richardson's been watching and learning and will come back and be a little bit more careful with the ball. I believe that that will happen, and I believe the Colts will win this game at home.
All right. Going with the bias, going with the Colts over the Dolphins. Titans at Bills. The Bills. Benny, the Bills. Bias plus of 20.1 favors the Bills. Nice fat bias. And now they got a new receiver, a little more complete in that room. What do you think about this?
Yeah, everybody's been kind of marveling over the fact that Josh Allen's been able to do so well with a bunch of kind of, I hate to say second rate, maybe almost no name receivers, Khalil Shakir, the rookie guy, Coleman, Curtis Samuel, who's kind of a cast off from the Commanders. But they've been able to make it work and they've been able to win ball games. So now the Bills saw an opportunity to make a move to kind of upgrade their receiver core, which will automatically upgrade their offense. I believe James Cook will be back from his ankle injury. And they now have Amari Cooper, who they got in a trade with the Browns. He was over there wasting away in Cleveland. So he's basically out of jail and with a winner and a real quarterback. So good for Amari Cooper. I feel good for him. I always liked Amari Cooper, but I always thought he was one of those guys that kind of got down on himself or got down on his quarterback. He wasn't the type of guy like Stephon Diggs to make noise on the sideline and stuff, but I have seen him sulk before. So I know he's really happy now to be on the Bills. The Bills went to MetLife Stadium to play the Jets last week after the Jets had their big coaching staff shakeup. So not only were they playing against the dreaded head coach bump with it, I don't know who came up with that name, but sometimes if a head coach gets fired in midseason or during the season, they bring in a new head coach. They call that a bump for the home team or a bump for the team that had to change. Everybody plays harder for the new coach or some old mess like that. Anyway, not only did they have to go up against that, but they were also missing their number one running back, James Cook. He's got an ankle injury. But no worries. Once again, Josh Allen put the entire offense on his back, and he rescued them from Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary and the fact that both teams had 11 penalties called against them. He accounted for 3 touchdowns, 2 of them through the air. He had 1 on the ground. Lest we forget, Josh Allen is a top rated, possibly the second best dual threat quarterback in the NFL. 97 yards on 20 carries for backup running back Ray Davis. So much for missing James Cook. The backup came right in, got the job done, and they ended up beating the Jets 23-20. I'm not even going to give the Titans a chance. They lost a heartbreaker last week to the Colts 20-17. It was their third loss in a row. Third loss in a row by a touchdown or less. This has got to be driving their head coach crazy. Will Levis didn't break 100 yards passing, and he threw his 7th interception of the season. And the Titans were also penalized 11 times. They have no shot. Take the Bills.
Going with the bias, going with the Bills. The Bills, Benny. Uh-oh. This is a potential intriguing game to me. Eagles at Giants, the bias plus of 0.6 favors the Giants.
So this will kill Eagles fans if they don't win this game.
Let me say this much. So close in terms of net points, but the bias swung to the Giants' favor because of
turnovers. Turnovers. That dreaded turnover. I heard the guy on TV say today, the guy's like, what's wrong with Jalen Hurts? He's like, he's a turnover machine.
Oh, God. That's the last thing you want to be labeled as.
Anyway, even when the Eagles win, they somehow give the media something negative to talk about. They defeated the Browns, as they should have, 20-16. So, number one topic, Nick Sirianni chirping at the fans about booing the team. Let's face it, the fans pay good money. Those seats are expensive, right? They come to the link because they like the Eagles and they want to cheer for them. But they have every right in the world to boo if they don't like what they're seeing from their team, right? Number two, a win is a win. How many times did I hear that? Why does it matter if they only beat the Browns by 4 points? Well, I'll tell you why. The Commanders beat them by 21. The Cowboys beat them by 16. The Giants beat them by 6. And I would venture to guess that they've gotten worse and worse and worse each week. But the Eagles only beat them by 4. The Eagles, who have the best roster in the NFC East, possibly the best roster in the NFC, arguably. Everybody was back. Everybody was healthy. They weren't missing anybody. They still refused to give the ball to Saquon Barkley. What'd you get him for? I don't get it. I don't understand. Anyway, finally, week 6, after 10 quarters at home, the Giants scored a touchdown at MetLife Stadium. We had not scored a home field touchdown in 10 quarters. But our new running back, Tyrone Tracy, ran it in from 1 yard out with 5:48 left in the third quarter. We didn't get a touchdown till the third quarter. It was our only score. We lost 17-7 to the Bengals. Crazy thing is, we actually controlled the clock. We controlled time of possession. Ran up and down the field between the 20s. Couldn't get into the end zone. Couldn't get into the red zone, let alone get into the end zone. And we missed 2 field goals. I don't know what to say about my team, except I'm going to say it was that game because I've seen them play bad games before. I've seen them come back and play good games. I think we get together. I think something's going on over there at the Meadowlands. I really do. I'm going to take the Giants to win this game.
Going with the bias, going with the bias. Then I have a note here. I'm watching the game, right?
Yes.
And Daniel Jones, the pocket breaks down. They're crashing in on him, and he throws the ball straight up in the air in the middle of the field. And I literally said, Yeah, Daniel Jones, that's what you do. Throw it up in the middle of the field and it got picked off. It was like a punt. It's like, dude, come on. You're like six, what was he, 6'4", 6'5", something like that.
Didn't he get hit as he was throwing?
Well, yes, he did. Yes, he did get it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just thought you got to get rid of the ball. You got to get rid of the ball before all that breaks down. But in any event, you're going with the Giants over the Eagles. Ooh. Potential intriguing game, Benny. I'm telling you. And you got a little more than a half a point bias differential, boy. And that all swung on turnovers. Ooh, man,
Yeah,
that's
well, Eagles are 3-2, Giants are 2-4.
not
Not
that.
much difference there.
Yeah, yeah. Seahawks at Falcons. Bias +7 favors the Falcons. Your boy, Kurt versus Gino.
Seattle lost their spot at the top of the NFC West to the Niners in a head-up game with the Niners that they lost 36-24. They also lost their third game in a row after starting the season 3-0, so they're kind of falling apart. The crazy thing is, what I thought, at least me, I thought one of their strengths this year was going to be running the ball. It's turned out to be a weakness for them now. Kenneth Walker can't get much going when that line can't block anybody. Gino threw for 312 yards and a touchdown, but he had to throw the ball 52 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a lot of passes, even in an NFL game. And he got intercepted twice. So last week, against another NFC South opponent, Carolina, the one I said doesn't count or doesn't really have anything going on in the division, he completed 19 of 30 for 225 and one touchdown in a 38-20 win over Carolina. Now, 38-20, Carolina was playing a little bit, but what they did was they pounded the Panthers defense on the ground.
Oh wow.
Total of 105 yards, one touchdown from Tyler Algier,
Mm.
95 yards and two touchdowns from Bijan Robinson. That
Okay.
was enough to get the job done. I don't think the Seahawks are going to do very well. First of all, they got that long flight from Seattle all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, and they got to play a red hot Falcons team. I'm going to take the Falcons to win this one.
All right. Going with the bias, going with the Falcons.
Yes, sir. They're 4-2, looking good.
Well, you talked about the Panthers. They're going to go visit the Commanders. Say it with me, Benny. Because the bias plus is 25.8 favoring the Commanders.
Right.
Like I said,
So,
last week the Commanders had the bias, but the Ravens had Derrick Henry.
yeah, it's unfortunate. But the Panthers put up a fight. Andy Dalton threw the ball pretty well in the first half, and Chuba Hubbard ran the ball pretty well in the first half against the Falcons, and they only trailed 28-24 all the way into early in the fourth quarter. 28-24. Is that what I said? That's what I meant to say. 28-24 early in the fourth quarter, they were within striking distance. Then Andy Dalton broke down through two interceptions. The Falcons took advantage of every mistake they made and ended up beating them 38-20. So much for the Panthers. Now the Commanders, what can you say about Jaden Daniels, man? He's off and running, looking like rookie of the year. I heard MVP mentioned next to his name. It's kind of crazy. Commanders in first place in the NFC East. Who would have thunk it? So Daniels completed two touchdown passes to Terry McLaurin, but the starting running back, Brian Robinson, got injured. I think he hurt his knee, and the running game got bogged down and basically ground to a halt, actually. So without that going, it was hard to compete with Lamar and King Henry. They ran up 484 total yards on the Commanders defense and ended up beating them 30-23. Now, that being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with the Commanders offense. In fact, I know there isn't. I believe Brian Robinson will be ready to go. If he's not, Eckler and they got a new young running back there. I forget his name right now. But I think they'll be more prepared to handle the reins of the running game.
All right, Benny, going with the bias, going with the Commanders. That's a pretty big bias right there. I think it's the biggest of the weekend, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you got one team scores a lot of points and one team scores a little bit of points.
Yeah, there you go. Raiders at Rams. Bias plus a 1.3 favors the Rams.
Wow. Yeah, hasn't been a good season for the old Rams. Injury bug. Injury bug has hit them hard. But let's get the Raiders out of the way.
One of these teams.
Yeah. Raiders took their opening drive 75 yards for a touchdown. They didn't score again until 4:54 left in the game. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh ran up and down the field on them and handed them a 32-13 loss. That's all I can say about the Raiders. The Rams are coming off the bye. Last time we saw them, the Packers were coming from behind on them and ended up beating them at home. So that wasn't a good look for the Rams there. But like I said, they are coming off the bye. The Raiders are all banged up and riding Aiden McConnell as their quarterback. They just lost Devontae Adams in a trade. I'm going to take the Rams on this one. And I heard Cooper Kupp may be back this week.
Oh, well, that's always a big deal. No doubt.
Yeah, no Puka Nacua yet.
Okay. All right. All right.
I know you've been dying to say that.
Bias.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, as you know, Benny, I do not do my beloved 49ers when it comes to an intriguing game.
I got you.
This would normally be on here, especially with a bias plus score of 3.5 favoring my Niners.
Right.
But the Chiefs are undefeated, but they remind me again of last year's Eagles when they had that 10-win run, but all of the wins were very small margin, and nobody felt really comfortable that they were as dominant as their win-loss record said they were.
Right.
But again, you got to go in there, you got to beat the big dog, baby. Let's go. 3 points.
Yeah, they're 5-0 for a reason. They're 5-0 for a reason. And the crazy thing is, when you tell people the Niners are 3-3, they go, huh? What? Yeah, 3-3. So they started off last week's slate of games on the Thursday night game with a division matchup on the road against the Seahawks. I just talked about the Seahawks. In a game that was described by a few players as a must-win. Yeah, I think Bosa said it was a must-win. They took care of business in a pretty dominant way. Brock Purdy hit Debo for a long catch and run for a touchdown and connected with Kittle for 2 more scores. Even your favorite fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, got into the action. He had a 6-yard run for a touchdown on his only carry of the game. 1 carry, 1 touchdown. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The running game totaled 228 yards. They controlled the clock throughout. They won 36-24. Good win for them. The Chiefs are coming off the bye. Last time we saw them, they were chewing up the New Orleans Saints 26-13, almost literally doubling their time of possession. I looked that up. They controlled half the clock. It was crazy.
Wow.
Now, this definitely is an intriguing game to me, but I'll tell you the truth. I hate to bet it. This is tough. You know how I agonize over going against Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know how long Andy can scheme around this roster. I thought for sure that they would go after Devontae or somebody. And in fact, you know who's free who might go back there? Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Mm.
The Bills set him loose when they got Amari Cooper. But anyway, they need some help. But that doesn't mean that they're weak. Not by any means.
We got a good.
I am going to go, however, with the Niners. I think they've seen enough of these guys. They should have them all figured out by now. They've battled Mahomes. They know the ins and outs. Only thing I hope for is that Kelsey has a big game because I need him fantasy. But I'm going to pick the Niners to win.
Well, now the Chiefs. Let's see here. They're plus 6.6. The Niners are plus 5.3. Came down again to the differential in turnovers. Minus 0.7 for the Chiefs and plus 0.5 for the Niners. And that's kind of what made it all work that way for the Niners.
Okay, that's an oddity. The Chiefs on the minus side of turnovers. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
So there you go. So what are you going to do here now? I need to hear it one more time.
I'm going to go with the Niners.
Oh my goodness. Yes. All right.
Go with the Niners at home with the bias.
With the bias. All right. How about some Sunday night football, Benny? How about Jets
Sounds
and
good.
Steelers?
Jets and Steelers.
11.4 favors the Steelers. I keep hearing Russell Wilson's name as if he could be the starter. But let me say this much, because I know you're going to talk about the Jets in that game last week. I have a newfound respect for Aaron Rodgers, man.
You do?
Oh yeah, because of one
I
of
lost a lot of respect for him, but go ahead.
because one of them sacks, I think I literally saw his eyes go all the way around his head and come back to the front.
He don't get no pluses for that.
He got up. He got sacked at one time. He got up, man. He looked like is this the bus to go to school? It's like holy mackerel. But hey, he threw that. He still can throw that Hail Mary. He still got that going for him, and still
Yeah.
running off at the mouth like he is the coach, which he's not. What you?
Evidently he is.
Oh, he's what you call an influencer.
Sad, very sad. Let's see. I got Steelers queued up here. 4-2. Nice record for the Steelers. 32-13 win over the Raiders. It was classic hard-nosed Steelers football on offense. They ran the ball 35 times for 183 yards and 3 touchdowns. One by Najee Harris, 2 by Justin Fields, who played another turnover-free game. All he has done is exactly what they've asked him to do. Protect the ball, run the offense. I don't know what they want from this guy. Anyway.
They want more points.
Okay.
That's it. That's all he can do. That's the only thing more he can do for them.
But that's great. This is not college. You don't get style points. It's wins. You get style points in college for big wins, not in the NFL. The Jets, I could not wait to see the Jets on Monday night, especially I wanted to see offensively. I wanted to see them offensively now that Todd Downing, who was the passing game coordinator, but is now also calling plays instead of Nathaniel Hackett or whoever the heck was doing it. I have no idea because I have no idea what Nathaniel Hackett does at all except carry the offensive coordinator title. As far as I know, Aaron Rodgers was calling his own plays. But anyway, Todd Downing was calling the plays, took his job seriously. On their first possession, they settled for a 34-yard field goal. But on their second possession, they put together a nice drive and they finished it with a Rodgers to Garrett Wilson touchdown. They finished the half with a last-second 52-yard Hail Mary to Allen Lazard. That closed the score to 20-17. So offensively, they was looking pretty good. So far, so good, right? Yeah, right. Till the second half starts. Greg Zuerlein kicked a field goal in the third quarter to tie the score at 20. Then he doinked 2 field goals off the uprights, and Rodgers was intercepted So that means they had 3 chances to take the lead and or win the game, but ended up losing 23-20. After the game, I got to say this. I'm sorry. After the game, Aaron Rodgers threw Mike Williams under the bus like nobody's business. That was terrible, man. And the thing is, what he said wasn't a lie. But you know how I feel about this. These things are not good for your team. This is the same as the Titans coach trashing his starting quarterback when he doesn't have anybody else to go to. Okay? He tells everybody what route Mike Williams was supposed to run, then tells everybody he ran the wrong route. You don't have to do that. You have to do that. But here's the question. If he ran the wrong route, why'd you throw it to him? The check down was sitting 10 feet away from you on the sideline with nobody near him. The running back. You knew he ran the wrong route, and you threw it to him anyway, and you underthrew it. Oh, and by the way, he slips trying to break back to catch the ball, and that DB made a spectacular catch on that interception. Caught the ball on his head, spun around. That was crazy. I watched that like 10 times. That was nuts. That was really a good pickoff. But anyway, bottom line to this one, I don't know what the Steelers are going to do. I don't know if they're going to go to Russ. Here's the deal. If they go to Russ and he plays well, then that was the fulfillment of the original plan, and they have to keep putting Russ out there. If he doesn't play well, it's going to suck that you got to put Justin Fields back in when you never had to bench him in the first place. He's not going to feel real good about that, nor is the coach. I don't think this is Tomlin's doing. I really don't. This is not something this doesn't feel like him. It just doesn't. I think when they went and got Russell Wilson, before they even thought about Justin Fields, they kind of promised him he was going to be the guy, and they're trying to keep their promise. But it sucks for the team. Now, if he plays well, okay, fine. But now you got to play him. If he doesn't play well, and you have to go back to Justin Fields to win the game, and he comes back and wins the game, now not only did you make a bad move that everybody saw, but if you wanted to trade Russell, you've exposed him now. The smart thing is to trade him without playing him. Because it's going to be harder to trade him if he goes and he stinks it up. You don't want people to know he stinks. You want to get rid of him before you expose that. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't know who to take on this one. I'll tell you the truth. I really don't. This is I don't feel good about the Steelers in this one because I think they're making a mistake. And believe me, they may not even do this. It hasn't been written in stone yet. We won't know till like Friday. But he is taking reps with the first string, but not all the reps. They're splitting the reps, which also is bad for whichever guy starts. Whoever your starting quarterback is, he should take all the reps in practice. This is ridiculous what they're doing. It really is. It's not a good move at all. Just because I can't stand this, I'm going to take the Jets.
All right, going against the bias, going with the Jets, Jets. Then we have a Monday night doubleheader. Are you ready for Ravens at Buccaneers? This is another potential intriguing game. Bias plus 2.7 favors the Buccaneers. Yeah.
I like this one.
Okay.
I like this one. So once again, Derrick Henry got 24 carries, and everything for the Ravens worked out just fine. He ran for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lamar was super accurate because nobody knew when he was going to throw the ball. 20 of 26. That's nice. 323. That's nicer. 1 touchdown. Zay Flowers was under no pressure to make big plays because they were behind the sticks. So he went off, 9 catches, 132 yards. Derrick Henry makes everybody else better. That's all I'm saying. Mark Andrews, who's been missing in action for the last 3 or 4 games, caught 3 balls for 66 and scored a touchdown. You give that man the ball 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, anywhere between 20 and 30 times, you will win if you're the Baltimore Ravens. That's almost guaranteed, and it makes everybody else better. This offense is looking like a finely tuned machine. They crushed the Commanders 30-23. I shouldn't say they crushed them. Commanders look pretty good on offense, but they had no answer for all these weapons. The one great weapon making the other small weapons look way, way better. I got to stick with the Ravens here. I know the Bucks have the bias. I really like the Bucks. I think Baker Mayfield is having a great season. I heard MVP mentioned next to his name too. You know what? Ravens have a hiccup. Bucks win.
Ravens have a hiccup. That's the analysis, eh? Ravens have a hiccup. Bucks win, going with the bias. All right, I ain't mad at you. That was one game on a Monday night, so we get to watch as much of this as we want. But the other game is Chargers at Cardinals. The bias plus of 15.6 favors the Chargers.
Chargers. I'm sorry.
Defense got to be primarily because of that defense, because they're not scoring a bunch of points on offense.
Well, now to be fair, let's remember the Chargers had a couple softies early. I think their first 2 games were pretty easy games. So they're riding a little bit of a skew as far as points against are concerned. But they're no pushovers. They do have a good defense. They're sitting at 3-2. Justin Herbert's led a very balanced ball control, clock-consuming offense against the Broncos in Denver, ground out a 23-16 win. He had season highs, 21 completions, 237 yards. J.K. Dobbins led the ground attack with 96 yards and a touchdown on 25 carries. They completely dominated the time of possession, 38 total carries, 128 total yards. Broncos looked a little bit askew, but I already talked about them, so I'm not going to bring that back up. Chargers look really good, especially on the ground. Kyler Murray, on the other hand, for the Cardinals, threw 1 touchdown pass against the visiting Packers, but he and James Conner and Greg Dortch all lost fumbles and got absolutely nothing done in the second half and lost the game 34-13. Cardinals are sort of kind of falling apart. Chargers are kind of really getting it in gear. I'm going to go with the Chargers.
All right, going with the bias, going with the Chargers. All right. Now, Benny.
Yes.
Wraps up the bias plus report. There's a couple teams missing. Teams on the bye. The Bears and the Cowboys. Get a little break this weekend coming up. Any fantasy advice for these guys?
I don't know. A couple teams been riding some of the guys on the Bears. Cowboys need a bye. They probably need 2 weeks off, but
yeah, if they could get it.
Yeah, they're in bad shape. And what's really bad is I don't know if you heard the interview, but Jerry Jones flew off the handle over some guys giving him an interview on the radio.
At the guy, he said he's going to get a new guy to interview.
Yeah, he threatened to fire the dude.
I'm thinking, well, does he work for you?
He probably owns the radio station.
Probably does.
I mean, I'm just saying he probably does. He sounded like he did.
Oh, man. But
he said, if you can't ask better questions, I'll get somebody else to ask me questions. Like, damn, okay. And Michael Irvin said he knows those guys. He said they got a really good show, it's very popular. probably the best radio show down there. And they usually get along really well with all the players and with Jerry. But for some reason, he wasn't feeling it. After seeing that butt whooping, that's probably what had him upset. You know, he tries to act like, yeah, he tries to act like nothing bothers him, but they look really bad, man.
That had to bother him. All right, Bears and Cowboys on the bye. That leaves one more point of business, Benny.
Who's my buster?
The Tampa Bay
The Bucks.
Buccaneers.
Good job.
Score 31. Congratulations for the Buccaneers. So there you go. That's it.
That's it.
Any final words before we log off?
No, really run real fast, turn on the television and root for the New York Liberty. My Giants are up 2-0 over the Guardians. See you in the World Series. Oh, wait. The Phillies won't be there, will they?
You said my Giants. You mean your Yankees?
Oh, I meant my Yankees, but, you know.
Our Yankees.
Same difference.
Our Yankees.
Okay, our Yankees.
Yeah, I'm not watching because I don't want to jinx. I'm one of those guys. I don't want to jinx them. They look good.
Yeah, well, don't watch then.
So, all right, good enough, man.
All right, I'll holla.
Peace.